Welcome to the Something to Gnaw On podcast. This is part 2 of Pranks and Mishaps, a special Christmas edition. And I'm your host, Nate Vinio. I hope you enjoyed last week's episode. This week's episode picks up where that one left off, with a few more Christmas pranks and fails. We hope to find a delicate balance between having a bit of joy and laughter while maintaining a reverence for the season. Next week will be another special episode, and in January we'll get back to the crash course through the Old Testament. And lastly, let me say that this episode will not have a break in it like so many others that I've done of this length. So I just want to take a moment to say on the front end, thank you to everyone who has supported the podcast in one way or another, whether financially through the online store, by purchasing a hoodie or just making a donation, or whether you've rated, reviewed, and shared the podcast with family and friends. I will tell you that last week we tried a new posting strategy and the downloads increased significantly. Thanks again. And let me reiterate, the goal for this podcast is to spur or drive people to get into the Bible for themselves, to gnaw on it, to meditate on it, in such a way that it changes their life. Thank you for partnering with me in this mission. Well, that's enough detail for now. Let's pick up where the last one left off. And for the record, we do know that it was Isaac instead of Jacob, and that'll make sense a little bit later. Enjoy. I had a other friend of mine, Luke Taylor, does the Cross References podcast.
Yeah.
Recently started another podcast called Weird Things in the Bible. We were talking about, the comedy. I wasn't even thinking about when we were talking about, some of the comedy in the Bible or some of the odd things in the Bible. And he's looking at some of those, maybe not necessarily from a comedic standpoint, but we were talking about this, and I was asking him if he could fall on his sword and cough up some kind of a story, that a Christmas fail, if you will. And he shot me this story, and I want to read through parts of this here. I read the first line of it. And I thought it took me back to our Wild at Heart stuff, the classic. For those of you who didn't listen into the episode we did previously, Danny and I did together, with regard to Wild at Heart, the essential question in Wild at Heart is he talks about how in a man's soul is, do I have what it takes?
Yeah.
There's this dynamic going on. And so with that as a backdrop, I'm looking at this and I'm reading this first sentence. It says, "There's no way you can actually drive the gator," my cousin David said to me from the other side of the kitchen table. "You're way too little." And I read that. I was like, oh, I don't know where this is going to end.
Yeah.
The taunting begins.
Yes.
It's like, how do you goad somebody right into this thing? Anyhow, so his response, "Am not," I retorted, and for the umpteenth time, "I've been driving it for years." David smirked. "Your feet probably can't even reach the gas pedal." "They can too," I said, my voice getting louder and louder the longer this conversation went on. "You don't even know what you're talking about. I was fully capable of driving the family gator. If you aren't familiar with gators, they're a John Deere utility vehicle with 2 seats and a bed. A top speed of 15 to 20 miles per hour. They were always useful for transporting equipment, feeding cattle, or roaming around the farm, which is where we grew up and what we used them for. I was probably 9 or 10 when my older cousin David dropped in one day to visit my parents and give me the much-needed harassment that all little cousins need from time to time, and I had already been driving our gator a couple of years by that point. And he probably knew that, which is why he couldn't resist giving me such a hard time." Have you been there?
Oh, yeah.
Which
I'm
one?
the youngest of 5, man.
Yeah, I was wondering. I was like, you identify with the younger one or the older one?
Always the younger. Always
gosh.
the younger.
Yeah. Well, you sure managed to get some jabs in with Nader and Ty at the same time. So
Yes,
it's anyhow. So you get your
you learn how to spar.
Yeah. Oh, man. Okay, back to the story here. "If you can actually drive it, show me," he said, knowing full well it was not parked out front when he arrived. My dad was using it somewhere else on the farm, and there was no telling when he'd be home. I simmered in my seat for a few minutes and went on to talk about other things when suddenly I heard the familiar roar of the gator approaching outside. Dad was home. I sprinted out the front door and hopped in the driver's seat of the gator. As soon as my dad got out, I fired up the gator and put it into gear. "I'll show you," I yelled at my cousin, revving the engine and putting the pedal to the metal. Our front and back yards together were about 5 acres, and I knew it like the back of my hand. I planned to zip back and forth across the yard with the grace of an ice skater doing figure eights across a rink. Cousin Dave would hang his head in embarrassment and slink back inside, ruining the day he dared to doubt my gator driving prowess. Or at least, that's how I saw it playing out in my 9-year-old mind. All of these thoughts had run through my head in the first 3.5 seconds into my journey through the yard. So far, I had not yet got out of the gravel driveway, but I decided it was not too soon to go ahead and gloat a little. Still going full speed ahead, I turned myself around and saw Cousin David standing on the porch. "See, I can drive it too," I yelled back at him as loud as I could over the roar of the gator engine, until suddenly something else drowned out my shouts. There are noises that seared into your memory forever, and the crash I heard right then was one of them. Those few seconds that I had my head turned, I had smacked right into something. Any guesses?
I'm guessing a tree.
A tree, okay, all right. Anybody else? I'll give you a second. Okay, here we go. I slowly turned to look in front of me, and I had driven straight into the side of Cousin David's pickup truck.
That's better than a tree.
That's better than a tree. I'll teach you to taunt me.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Yes, I may have known every inch of our yard, but there wasn't usually that extra vehicle in the driveway. Whatever happened over the next 30 seconds, I literally can't remember. Because the next thing I know, I'm on the other side of my house, getting as far away as fast as I can.
Run for your life.
But eventually my dad caught up to me, and I had to go back and to apologize to my cousin. Come to think of it, one of us did end up hanging our head in shame and slinking back that day, and it wasn't him. That might be the takeaway from something like this. As someone important once said, he who exalts himself will be humbled. Yes, this is true.
Man.
Nice point, Luke.
Yeah.
He who exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted. I wish someone had told me that when they gave me the keys to the gator. Oh, wow. Wow.
Murphy came to roost.
Oh, man. Man. You know, I think there's a lesson to be learned from Cousin Dave's standpoint of taunting such a young kid.
Yeah, because he's still got his truck hit.
I'm wondering if Luke had to sign his autograph by that or something.
Yeah.
How does that go down? How does that go down long term?
Yeah.
Did your brothers hack on you like that?
Oh, gosh, yeah. Well, so here's the thing, though. I was young and I was sickly as a kid. I had lots of medical issues when I was little, and so they were pretty protective of me. So, but that didn't change the fact that once they realized I was healthy again, by age 10 or 11, which was really just me and my second oldest, or the brother that's just above me, who's Bobby.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Robert. He goes by Robert now.
Roberto.
He hacked on me all the time. We had lots of knockdown dragouts and normal sibling go at it, but it was there were a lot of challenges growing up.
Yeah, man, my brothers and I would go at it. I mean, there were seasons.
Yeah.
And I think there are probably seasons you go through like that. And at the same time, there are seasons after the fact that you get along in a completely different fashion. You've figured out how to get along with each other. And
Yeah.
so
A lot of it was just testing your will, testing your strength, and testing your personal, I don't know if it's power or what it is, but you always have to see how much do I have, and it goes back to that question. Do I have what it takes?
Do I have what it takes? Yeah. Well, and the extent to which, and I've seen you do this with Nader and Ty, just in joking with them, where you challenge their manhood or their male, it's like, and Ty's only 6, and
on it. Yeah.
And we're playing with them, and I know you're playing with it. I mean, it's just,
he knows it partially,
but he goes for it, and Nader did the same thing.
Yeah.
And there's something ingrained in the male psyche. Yeah. I don't know how it is maybe we need to have our wives on here at some point in time, have that conversation, maybe how women goad other women into stuff. But for guys, it's, you challenge their.
Yeah. I think that's a vast difference between men and women is the gals don't really challenge each other the way guys do, because they don't have that same question.
Yeah.
Their question is not, do you have what it takes?
Yeah.
It's am I lovely? Am I?
Do you see me?
Do you see me?
Yeah.
Man. Because guys, we'll just hack until we.
If you've ever watched Duck Dynasty, I've binged a few episodes and what have you, and that issue is central in that whole family dynamic. They get to doing some stupid stuff for no other reason than somebody challenged their manhood. Yeah. Oh man.
Well, who was I talking to the other day? It was somebody was talking about, all it took was a dare. And my son goes, "Oh yeah, you had to double dog dare." I said, "You didn't have to double dog anything. You just make the challenge, and I'm on it." When I was 12, 13, 15, 18 years old.
The double dog dare.
There was no doubling. You just see if I'll do it, and then by golly, I'm in it.
That's that beautiful line from A Christmas Story. He triple dog dared him.
Yeah.
He skipped all daring etiquette and went from the dare to the triple dog dare, completely skipping.
Right. Is that the one where he stuck his tongue on the
because of a dare.
Yeah.
Oh man.
That also falls under the category of watch this.
Hold my sippy cup.
It starts early.
That was Luke.
Yeah.
That was Luke. Here, hold my sippy cup. Watch me drive this. Watch me drive this gator.
Right.
Oh man. I would love to know what kind of damage he did to the gator the truck. Where. Oh man. I have so many questions.
Yeah.
It's like, did you have a seatbelt? I mean, I don't mean that, and I don't mean this from a super, I really care about your health and well-being, Luke.
Right, yeah.
I'm curious if he wore his seatbelt to know whether or not he ended up making contact with the truck himself. I'm totally heartless, Luke. I apologize.
Was not a part of it,
I'll be repenting on Sunday. I apologize for that. So anyhow.
Oh man. Oh, those were good moments.
Oh man. I can't. I'm just picturing that moment, just kind of in slow motion though. Luke pausing, turning around. You figure he's got this gloating look, and then Oh man.
I think when I was a kid, it was always about jumping something on a bike. We were adrenaline junkies, so let's put a ramp on it and jump it. And I remember one Christmas we got a 10-speed. They didn't have 20 speeds back then. They had 10-speed. That was it. 10 was good. And I remember thinking, well, it's not a BMX. It's not a ramp bike. It's
got wheels though.
But my brain went there, and I wasn't a week and a half, 2 weeks later, I tacoed the tires because I had to put it in front of. Let's go over.
I don't know that I've ever heard that
The thing is, I know exactly what you're talking about, but I don't know that I've ever heard anybody.
That's a cycling term.
Taco the tire.
Yeah,
wow.
When the tire folds over because it wasn't meant to do that.
Taco the tire is not a nickname.
No. It's they just fold over. That's not good, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, that was a challenge I had. It was my parents got me a 10-speed. I don't know how old I was, but I was excited about it, and then I jacked it up.
I tried jumping a ditch one time on a dare like that. Let's just say if I was singing in the Christmas choir, there'd be a section, a few.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have been singing in bass, I can promise you that much.
Hello.
Just say, too, I bent the handle. I stripped the handlebars out.
Oh, yeah.
Bending the when I jumped that, hit in such a way my body went forward, fully hit the handlebars. It stripped them out. It was just one of those cheap necks, but
it didn't take much.
Well,
to strip it out because they have teeth on them.
Yeah, they got those splines.
Yeah. So, man,
it took its toll on me, though. I can tell you that much.
Yeah.
But anyhow, well, Luke, I thank you for blessing us with a little slice of life.
Yeah, that's good.
In the Luke Taylor household.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, 9-year-old. What's funny about that is Ty's just a couple of years behind him, and I'm like, man, Ty could be doing something like that.
Oh yeah.
I've taken Ty out in the pasture, and I'll let him sit in the center console and drive around the pasture, and I'm like, we've got some work to do with that one. Anyhow, oh man.
Oh gosh.
All righty. Well, there's story number 2 down. And you got any other Christmas stories come to mind?
Well, off the top of my head, I'm not pulling up anything.
They're just coming. Just keep them coming. Keep
flowing them.
So the first story was just kind of along the lines of, with all the hustle and bustle and the Christmas things at church and what have you.
Yeah.
Just lighten up, have some fun with it, and roll with the punches, get a squirt gun.
Yeah.
Second story is, how did Luke put it at the end of this? Someone important once said, he who exalts himself will be humbled, and he who humbles himself will be exalted. So this season, the moral of the story here is humble yourself.
Yes.
Or you will be humbled.
Yes.
Either way, you're going to be humbled.
You're going to be humbled no matter what.
You just might as well.
Yeah, Murphy will show up at your house and park.
So,
I had a season one time as a gymnastics coach. I was coached at a club for several years, and the gym had a secretary. And now at the time I'm 20 something. I'm just a 20 something year old guy, and so most of the parents in the gym were late 20s, early 30s, that kind of thing. And the secretary of the gym had students. Her kids were students of mine, and she was probably 33, 34, 35. But at 20 something, to me she looked way older, but that was because I was 20 something and I didn't understand.
Yeah.
And so she was 30 something, and she had a little extra weight around the waist, and so I made the mistake of just before Christmas, I thought she maybe was going to have another kid. And so I did it. The words came out of my mouth. I said them, and I could not pull them back into my face. I asked her, "Are you going to have a baby?" And my 23-year-old self, was at least smart enough to know that was the dumb thing to say. Because she looked at me, everything we're kind of talking and joking, and I said it, and it was one of those moments where everything just kind of freezes, and there's a really awkward silence.
Oh man!
And she looked at me like, "No, why would you say that?" and again, I could not pull the words back into my mouth, and I couldn't fix it, and so suffice it to say that Christmas, my secretary got a string of pearls for Christmas because I was trying to fix that dumb statement.
Oh, gosh.
It was probably one of the dumbest things that's ever come out of my mouth.
I've heard people do that before.
Oh gosh.
And
I learned never say it. Never ask.
Don't
never ask.
be as curious as you want to be, but never speak those words, even if you think.
Oh no. Mm-mm.
Yeah. Mm-mm. No.
Yeah. It was a hard learned lesson. She was gracious, and she actually had a pretty good sense of humor, so she was pretty gracious about it. Ultimately, she threw it back on me and made a joke out of it for me, but I felt about an inch tall. It was pretty awful.
Oh man.
She eventually forgave me.
Eventually.
Especially after the pearls.
After pearls.
Yeah.
Man, if you had to cough up a set of pearls every time you said something stupid,
I'd be broke.
This is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Thank God for forgiveness.
Yes. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. That was a rough one. That was a really rough one.
Oh man. So, how does this relate to Christmas? Can we laugh at things?
Oh gosh, yes, we have to.
Well, you gotta be able to laugh at things and laugh at yourself a little bit.
Oh yeah.
Otherwise, you just go nuts, I think.
Yeah. Life is too short to take it all so seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. There's too many horrible things on the planet happening to not find a place to laugh somewhere.
Yeah. It gets dangerous for me to have conversations late at night because the joke between Jamie and I is, "Hey, your filter's off."
Yeah.
There's another segment of this world that would talk about the filter being off when they drink.
Yeah. Yes.
For me, it's the filter is off the more tired I get, and I'm staying up, but the self-control to keep those thoughts trapped inside your head.
Right. Well, they have the old saying that time heals all wounds. In the theater, there's a rehearsal technique of if you're delivering a comedic line, as you're rehearsing that, you would say pause for laughter, and so you'd say the joke and pause for laughter, and sometimes in really poorly delivered humor, you have to pause for like 10 years. Deliver the line, wait a few years, then it'll be funny.
Yeah. I wonder if this Christmas would be a time where people can kind of look back on some things finally and say, hey, this thing might have zinged a little bit a while ago or what have you, but maybe we can look back on it and I don't know what
in the big picture. It really was kind of funny.
Yeah. What are the odds that this would have happened this certain way or what have you?
In the moment, it was tough, but in the longer range,
I think about guys like, Luke and his cousin, in the moment, if I was a cousin, man, I'd be hacked.
Oh, yeah.
Punk kid, crashed into my, of course, never mind the fact that he goaded him into it. But,
right.
But now you can step back with with Luke writing that story out like that, and you can say, okay, we can laugh at this now. This it's okay to laugh at this now.
Nobody got hurt, and in the end, it was just a car.
It's just a car with a dent in the side of it,
that I asked for.
Yeah. Or you'd be like my dad and the guys in the drama and the orchestra and what have you that are in the midst of the monotony or the stress of it, looking for a way to, hey, have a good time with it. Know.
Well, even in the story of the gal getting ready to have a baby, real life happens.
Yeah.
And it's dramatic in the moment, but the drama eventually becomes funny because of the way we respond to it. We have our crazy responses thinking this is the only natural response. And then we look back with maturity and go, yeah, that was pretty dumb. That was just pretty dumb.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Well, I'd like to say it's maturity, but could be that our sense of humor got a little bit more sick. I don't know.
Sick and twisted sense of humor.
It's probably a mixture of the two.
Yeah. Oh, man.
We become more cynical in our old age, and humor becomes more dark.
Yeah. Any last thoughts?
I think that, this time of year is just the best time to laugh, because like I said, there's so much already happening in the world that's rough and hard and difficult and painful that I think the Christmas season is the most incredible season to be able to put a smile on your face. Yeah. Because this is where our hope comes from. We have hope because of this season that we talk about. And so, laugh. Life's too short. Laugh.
Yeah. You think the shepherds would have eventually laughed at their responses?
Oh my gosh.
You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, I'm just speculating because on the one hand, you've got angels showing up that this would have been a traumatic experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know of any other way of approaching that. I mean, every time you see angels interacting with humans in the Old Testament, it's not.
Well, think about the was it Jacob, whose name is laughter, means laughter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because she was too old to have him, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, and Jacob being part of the lineage of Jesus, you begin to realize that God had a sense of humor.
Yeah.
This old woman's going to have a baby.
Yeah.
And now we jump ahead to Jesus. Now this virgin girl's going to have a baby.
Yeah.
Think God doesn't have a sense of humor?
Yeah. Everything is completely outside of the expected norms.
Right.
And so back to the shepherds, I think to myself, I mean, I'm just thinking out loud here, but the idea that how would you respond? I mean, I don't even know how I would respond.
Yeah.
But I would imagine you got a bunch of guys together and you have this going on. And I'm guessing that these guys did not respond in a dignified, shepherdly manner.
After they changed their shorts.
Well, Commando and Jericho, right?
Yeah. Did you just see that? I don't know. I didn't see that.
You get to a place where you're looking at that going, you remember what you did? You remember, anyhow, I don't know. Those are the things that I wonder about, but without question, I understand the serious nature of Christmas.
Yeah.
The severity of it. In fact, lest anybody think that we're taking this too lightly, please listen to the previous episode because that's not the case.
Right.
At the same time, I've talked before on the podcast about, we live in a world at war and the devil just does not want, I mean, he's got a target on your back. And so to that end, this should be a moment that we celebrate.
Right.
And all of this trauma and drama and saying stupid things that you shouldn't have said and doing things like Luke that you shouldn't have done or, and all these things happen and they're exacerbated in this season. Mm-hmm. And so the idea of us talking about laughter and enjoying this, I hope it brings people back to that place of this is a profound season and hopefully we can laugh and enjoy it without being insensitive or irreverent. Yeah. And if you can balance that, if you can find that, I think we find ourselves in a great place to enjoy the season and to create some great memories with our families.
Yeah. Well, it's that place of joy. Joy is not, when I think of the idea of joy to the world, I don't think of everybody put on a serious face for the world because God's done something good. Sad face or angry face or stern face.
Yeah.
No. Joy means laughter. It means realizing that there is so much more than what we can understand or see.
Yeah.
It was for the joy set before Jesus that he endured the cross.
Yeah.
There was joy to the world when Jesus came into the world.
Yeah.
Joy is a powerful thing that causes us to smile and giggle and laugh and tell stories and be thankful to God for his blessing.
Yeah.
That's powerful.
Yeah. So everybody, I would wrap it up with that. Have a Merry Christmas, and catch up to you next week.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
God bless.